How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. What do you got on the topic? You're just going to accept the fact that high value men don't cheat. They exercise options.
High value men don't cheat?
No, it's not called cheating. If you do it, it's called cheating. If I do it, it's called being a man.
Okay.
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 34.
All right. So, yeah, why does that, it sounds like you don't like that.
That high value men can cheat and women can't?
No. Because you're an alpha kappa alpha. I mean, if you're an educated woman, let's just take it to the animal.
I'm not saying that.
Let's just take it to the animal kingdom now.
Okay.
Lions. There's usually 2 lions that run an entire pride. There's 6 to 8 women in there. They're not monogamous. Is it typical for mammals, the male of the species, to be monogamous?
I don't think so.
No, it's not. So, especially in humans, if a man is in the top 10% of men, and you have high standards, and you want him, don't you think other women want him too?
That's true. That's true.
So here's the question: What's so great? What's so great and wonderful that you're bringing to the table that he should forego everything?
Are you just talking about from my perspective?
Yeah, because unless you're all right with the notion that men exercise options.
I mean, because I bring loyalty to the table.
So does
I bring loyalty. Say it again.
So does a dog.
But I'm very submissive in a relationship. I'm very submissive. I was raised by my grandmother, my mom, of course. Okay. But so I'm old fashioned with it, like the cooking, the cleaning, the making sure he's fed, making sure, he's number one. So I don't have any kids, by the way. So I'm coming with 100% of myself. So why can't I get that in return?
Because that's not special.
That's not special. So what's special to you?
Being a high value man.
Okay.
I mean, because if you're raised by your grandmama, I mean, I am 52 years old, and I know plenty of men back who do damn high school diplomas had entire families on the other side of town. I don't think you modern women really understand men. You think what you just ran down to me is enough? Okay, let's put a dollar value on that. Let's put a dollar value on what you're talking about. You're loyal, you're submissive. Let's put a dollar value on it. Does it equate? He's making $400,000 a year. What does everything you say equate to?
A dollar value? I'm not sure.
Well, you're gonna have to, because if a man is making the kind of money to have a stay-at-home wife, have 2 to 3 kids, and provide an above-average middle-class lifestyle, to where the kids are provided for, the college is provided for, you can travel like you need to, have retirement, all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, what you talking?
I'm sorry. So you're saying just because he's doing all that, he can go cheat?
Why? I mean, it's like, I don't understand black women.
No,
because he's doing all that. What kind of men can do all that?
I'm shocked. I mean, because I watched some of your content.
What kind of men can do all of that?
Okay, so you're saying a high value man can do that, like do all that, and
yes, because he's
outside.
Making all that money.
Oh, wow. So you're saying money has power? Are
you serious?
No, I'm asking because.
But I'm trying to be reasonable. But you're 34. I mean, why is that question unnecessary?
No, because I'm saying you said because he's doing all of that, like so. He
yes,
okay.
It's not cheating when we do it.
Okay.
See what you just ran down and described. Illegal immigrants who swim across the Rio Grande do the same thing for their husbands who stand out in front of Home Depot and collect cans.
Okay.
True or false?
Yeah.
Okay. So if the man swimming across the Rio Grande to collect cans or go to the day labor center gets that from his woman.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you not think a man who earns more and brings? Do you not think a man? Okay, the average black man in this country earns $40,500.
Okay.
So if a man's making $400,000 a year, that's 10 times what the average black man makes.
True.
So that means if you're with a woman, she would get arguably 10 times what the average woman would get with that average man, right?
Right.
Then he should get 10 times the ass.
Wow, Kevin. Even if I'm giving him all the ass he wants, it's okay.
You can't.
No, you think they should just okay? Well, you have.
Well, here's the thing. See, the thing is, the kind of men you're talking about are extremely competitive.
Okay. True.
They're virile. They're working long hours. I mean, you don't become a high value man by putting in an 8-hour day. You're talking about men who are healthy, intelligent, ambitious, driven. Their appetites are large, and then you have to be focused on one specific thing for a long period of time and beat out all the other men.
Okay.
You can't satisfy all his needs because let's say, okay, let's just be honest. Let's get right down to it. Let's say you're on your cycle.
Okay.
And he wants it. Can you provide what he wants?
So you saying like me giving him head at that point is not going to be enough? Okay.
The thing is, what I'm saying is, it seems to be that Western women have forgotten. You have not understood what the top men have always had. Where do concubines and mistresses and things? What does happy hour come from? You've been lied to. You've been lied to with this Disney notion of monogamy.
Okay.
So let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
You want a man who's 100% loyal and faithful to you and everything like that. Would you be submissive, cooperative, and all the things you just said, right? Mm-hmm. To a man with a high school diploma making $40,500 for the rest of his life? Really? Now, do you see how quickly you are willing to take away everything just because of money? See, it makes perfect sense to a woman to say, I'm not going to give him that for that kind of money. Then you want a man to accept you when he's making that kind of money. You can't get over the math of that problem. You can't get over the math of that because you said no with the quickness.
That's true. That's true. I can't argue with you there. I can't. You're right.
So why is it fair, if we're going to talk about fairness, why is it fair for a woman to sit back and look at the average black man and tell him, everything that I was raised to be, you don't make enough for it? That's what you're really saying. Because we haven't gotten to what kind of character that man has. You just eliminated him straight on money.
I mean, I feel like if he doesn't make what I make or more, then
it's called hypergamy.
Say it again.
Called hypergamy. It's an evolutionary biology thing. But here's the problem. That's how you're supposed to think as a woman.
Right.
All women think that way. But the problem is, far too many black women and women like yourself wait too long. See, it's all right if you think that way, but you should have been married by age 23, 24.
Well, I've turned down like 3 proposals.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you can't make this shit up. Isn't that what I started off saying? This earlier today, 5 proposals.
I saw that earlier.
But you didn't turn down proposals of men that you value.
True.
So they don't count.
Okay.
So,
but see, that would have been me settling too, though. You spoke about that.
Well, if a high value man were to get you and only be with you, he'd be settling. Okay. You don't think about it that way. See, you ladies only think about it from your standpoint. And the problem is, man, it sounds like your price is too high.
It sounds like my price is too high?
Well, let's just look at the math of it.
Okay.
You want a man to at least have what you have. But is that your sexual marketplace value?
Yeah.
No.
To at least have what I have?
No, it's not. Your sexual marketplace value is not, N-O-T, not your academics, your income, your socioeconomic status. If that's the case, Gabrielle, any old looking woman should be able to go get Shamar Moore just because she's earning what he is. Your sexual marketplace value is your face and your body. That's it. That's where it starts. Just like a man's value starts with his ability to provide.
Okay. Well, I think I look okay in my height to weight ratio. I've seen. Okay. I think that's pretty good too. I'm 5'7.5" and I weigh 144.
Okay, but here's what I do. But I hear you're 34 though. See,
okay.
You're 10 years outside. You're 10 years past your marriage date. So, as all women get older,
okay,
you typically earn more money because you've been in your job or career longer, right?
8 years, yeah.
You've had more experience in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your experience increases, but your sexual market value decreases at the same rate. See, what you're talking about only attaches to men. Mm-hmm. I get more valuable as I get older and earn more money, not women, because we don't pick you on money.
Well, I still think I look pretty good now.
But, you don't look as good as you did at 24.
I should probably make my page.
It doesn't matter, man. I'm trying not making this about you, but the fact of the matter is,
just in general,
you ladies wait too late, and your price is too high. See, you've raised your value based upon things that men don't calculate.
Don't care about.
We don't calculate in that. So you said you turned down 3 proposals. Okay. None of those men were suitable.
One was, I just wasn't ready at the time.
Okay.
I was too young.
Translation, I figured I could do better later on.
No, he's still...
That's okay. No. If not, but that tends to be okay. So, because every man you turn down, you allow in your life.
Yeah.
So, do you make room for the fact that maybe you won't get any more chances? You shot down 3 already.
No, I think I will.
Well, all women think that.
Mm-hmm.
But 1 in 4 black women were married.
Mm-hmm.
You've had 3 men propose to you that you allowed in your life. See, strangers don't propose to you.
Right.
So you allowed them in.
But don't you think, like, when you're in your 20s, like, that's just too early? Like,
you can't make this shit up.
I'm just saying, when you're in your early 20s?
No. Absolutely not.
I think that's
I cannot make this shit up. This is our culture. If you watched my show at all this week, you would have known what those answers are.
I know, but I just feel like, okay, so I was like 22 and he proposed like after a year. My dad, he's at his house. He's in my life. He's like my best friend.
Okay, but are your mother and father married?
No.
Exactly.
What is that? Exactly what?
Because if mother and father were married, that's a different dynamic than mother and father being separate.
Mm-hmm.
What successful group of people who have ever lived the planet told women to delay marriage until later in life?
Well, that's not what I was meaning by that. I just felt like I wasn't ready.
That's a problem with how you were raised, and you should have been ready.
At 22?
What, the French toast?
I don't think I wasn't. I'm
Excuse
sorry.
me? And see that, and this is a big problem. I'm gonna just be honest, man. This is a big problem in the Black community. We're talking about women in particular. You guys are far too immature at your age. I want you to go back to your great grandmother. When did your grandmother get married? What age?
Ooh, yeah, she was young.
What age?
I don't know. I don't want to lie, but I know she was young. She was married for a long time.
About what age?
It had to be early 20s.
Most women got married before 21. In China today, if you're not married by 25, they call you leftover. No, breathe.
Mm-hmm.
See, the Black community were married at a rate of 80% prior to 1965. My grandmother got married at 19. Teenager is a modern invention. When you had your cycle, you were ready to be a wife. Like it or not, that's how biology makes it. Go back 300 years ago. Go back 300 years ago when people didn't live to be 80. We had to get on with life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what nature is saying. Not Kevin. Nature is saying when a woman has her cycle, she can reproduce. That means she's reached her maturity. So what we have now is we have prolonged adolescence. At what age do you think the average woman should be ready for marriage?
Like, I
30.
28.
30.
Closer to 30. Yeah.
30. And this is insane. Insane. I had a woman on from their radio station in Chicago where I said the same thing. We prolong, okay, the danger zone is ages 27 to 35.
Right.
You're almost at geriatric pregnancy. That's what the OBGYNs call it. Geriatric pregnancy attaches at 35. Mm-hmm. Your prime mating and marrying years are the ages between 18 and 24. And that means married by 24. If you went to college, right?
Yes.
Were you not surprised at how many of your non-Black, i.e. white counterparts were getting engaged in their junior and senior year? They're being married 1 or 2 years right outside of college. Did you work in corporate America?
Yes, I do now. Yes.
Yeah, but right out of college, did you see your non-Black counterparts in the summer times being bridesmaids and being in weddings left and right?
Yeah, I mean some.
All right, but did you see that with any Black women? No.
I have
one.
One.
One, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I get
the most point is Black women have been told to go turn up, and you've been told by other women. You've been told by women, don't get married young, get you an education, get something on the ball. So what? In case the marriage don't work out, you'll have something to fall back on. You've been given the bad information by women. They've given you the wrong information. That's not what men want. Men don't want to marry women. If I wanted, okay, let's say I wanted to marry you, right?
Okay.
But I want 5 kids.
Okay.
We got a problem already.
Because I'm 34.
That's right.
Okay. Okay.
So how do we keep the human race going if the replacement rate of birth is 3 children? The replacement rate. The average couple should be having 3 children. So unless you plan on having your kids back to back to back, if you stair step them 1, 3, and 5, that means if you get a woman that's 22, 23, she'll be done having her children by age what? 30. But if you're starting at 30, you're going to go right on past that to geriatric pregnancy. You guys are walking as opposed to nature, evolution, and everything else.
Yeah.
But when I'm talking to sisters like you, all I hear is fear. I wouldn't know if I was ready. Ready for what?
So you don't think like I should have been getting my career, getting some money in my account? You don't think that?
Do you want to be married?
Because you're gonna be. Because
I want to be married.
Yeah.
How many children would you like?
I always say 3 at the most, but I'm fine with at this point not having any.
Well, then you don't sound like their wife. You sound that's selfish. I wouldn't marry a woman that doesn't want kids. Why would a man marry a woman that doesn't want to have kids?
No, I said if I always wanted 3, but if I don't have any now, then it's like I'm used to.
Okay, but to answer the question, if you were to get married and have 3 children, would you want to have to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant with the first child?
No.
No. So due respect, your career means nothing, because as soon as you get pregnant, you throw it away anyway and go become a mother. Mm-hmm. So what you'd be bringing to me is hey, husband, here is $15,000 to $60,000 worth of student loan debt. I'm not going to be working. I'm going to just become a mom. So now we got a downside home or whatever, because I got to pay $50,000 or 30, whatever. I got to pay all that. Mm-hmm. Versus if you just be honest and say, I want to be married and have kids and I don't want that. So getting some money in your account, due respect, man, most women have jobs and you don't save money. The number is, it says what the average black woman by age 35 has a net worth of negative $5. $5, it's not that much. Most women don't save any money. I date women. Mm-hmm. Y'all broke.
What women you date? Because I ain't broke.
I'm not gonna cap, ma'am. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't want to go there, but the numbers are pretty clear. You can go look at the numbers yourself. Women are not financially solvent. Mm. So all of this degree and going to stack money, it's not like when a man meets you, he meets you at 27 years old and you say, I've got $100,000 in a Roth IRA. I paid off all my student loan debt. This. My credit rating is a 780. That's not what happens. What tends to happen is I got a car note, I got an apartment, I got consumer debt, I got credit card debt. Mm-hmm. You're leveraged to the hilt, and most guys are like, okay, all right. Then we're still supposed to be able to pay the lion's share of that. In most cases, you want us to pay all of it, and then what do we get in exchange for that? We're supposed to take on all. I'll give you a room, mm-hmm. but a high value man who can pay all that has to take on all your debt, mm-hmm. and all what he's doing. And what does he get in exchange? The same thing the dude at the Home Depot get. That's what he gets in exchange for it. That's why I say you ladies need to understand the kind of men you're talking about. I was saying, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. You better be happy that I'm even considering taking you on.
Okay, because you're speaking of like more mature adults. When you're 22, 23, I don't think that's a conversation for that young of a adult. You think?
This is a problem with our women. Because see, that's the point. You're supposed to come as an adult and you're supposed to be customized for your man.
Okay. So a young, 22, 23, getting out of college, supposed to be just ready for...
Are you a Christian?
Yes.
Then it should be pretty simple. You're supposed to go from your father's house to your husband's house.
And you think a young man would be ready to take care of a family?
What does she need to do? She's not going to be out working. She's going to be running the house and running the family.
Right, and I agree with that.
But she needs to be on his program. See, modern women, your ego is low. Why does she need? What experience does she need out in the world? Mm. What does she need? What experience do you think a woman needs out in the world to become a better wife to a man?
I mean, I guess you learn all that growing up, right? From your parents. So it's not.
Tell me, what experience do you need out in the world to be a better wife for a man?
Sorry, people are. What experience out in the world? I think just living.
What does that mean?
How to it's just so.
See, the problem you're having is everything you say is going to be a negative. Everything you have to say is going to be something that does not benefit a man.
But
Listen, I gave you a chance and you got nothing. What most people say, get out there and ride the cock carousel. Get out there and date more guys and have your whole phase or do whatever it is. That is not beneficial to a man. What you just said, in the young years, there is nothing that you're going to learn that is going to be beneficial to a husband.
Mm-hmm. Do you think a 23, 24-year-old man is ready to provide for a family?
No, but you're not marrying a man that age. You should be marrying a man that's older than you. Okay.
So that's what I was thinking you were trying to get at. Because I'm like,
but the problem in our community is we don't talk about relationships, and we don't push relationships. So I don't think a man should be thinking about marriage before 30, and as soon as he should be doing is 35. But then his wife should be 23.
So you think, okay. Interesting.
Wow.
Okay.
At what age does a man hit his financial stride?
I think like 35.
45 to 55.
Oh, wow.
That's what I mean. You ladies don't know men. You don't know men. You don't know anything about us. You don't really understand anything about what it really takes to financially run a family. You know how to take care of yourselves. Kind of. So then you come to a man and say, you should have to be faithful to me. And he's like, well, wait a goddamn minute. Do you know what it takes to provide this ability for you not to have to work for 10, 12 years until our children are in first grade? If you choose to want to go back to work, and if you do, it's not like you're going to be stepping back into a career in brain surgery. You're going to be stepping back into something that just basically makes decent money, but he's still going to be responsible for everything. And you'll have a tip on top of it. See, what I'm saying is, even in this conversation, you realize the imbalance it is for a man to be a provider male. So now I'm like, you expect that man to have to be monogamous with you when he's doing all this? Hell no. Because what is he getting in return? He's not even getting a woman of back in the day. I mean, you got a cookbook?
Yes.
How many recipes?
How many recipes? It's probably 100, 150.
Okay. How many women do you think have a recipe with 100, 150 recipes in it?
Probably not many.
You're the first one I've talked to in a year.
Oh, well, see, I love to cook.
Well, but in my 50 plus years, I've dated 2 women that knew how to cook. 2. I cook better than most women I've met. 2.
Oh, wow. All my friends can cook.
Okay, but that's my word.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
So my point is, why does a woman need to go get a degree or a job, and if she ain't really see, it's an ego project. I'm going to go into debt to get a college degree to go make some money to pay off a part of the college degree. But all I'm really going to do is, if I get the man I really want, I'm going to just give you that debt. Then I'm going to go out, and while I'm doing all that, I'm going to date Peter and Paul and this, and I'm going to have sex. So I'm going to increase my body count and increase my sexual exposure and decrease my ability to actively pair bond, open myself up to pregnancy, STDs, all kind of other things, and traumas. And I'm going to deal with other situations. I'm going to do all that. And you think that's going to make you a better wife for a man? Or do you think you put on a white suit, and the cleaner you can keep your white suit, the nicer the picture looks? But if you think you're going to go play football in that joker,
right?
Even if you don't get pushed down, you're still going to have some dust on you.
That's true.
So this is where so many Black women tend to come from marriage from a place of fear and scarcity. You don't look at Black men as something as that they really can do what it is you expect to be done. You don't trust us. Because if you did, they wouldn't feel like you have to do all this shit for yourself. And I look at your parents and look at your mama. Why does a daughter not trust her daddy? Or trust men to share his reflection? Because 1 out of 4 black women will get married. The next lowest rate is white women. They get married at a 54% rate. And even when black women do get married, divorce is almost 60% divorce rate in the black community. Lowest to marry, highest divorce rate, and then when the divorce is filed, black women are filing 80+% of divorces.
Oh wow.
The problem in our relationships is not on the men's side. It's on whatever's going on in y'all's head, and it's all these mixed messages about youth and this and education and such and so forth and blah, blah, blah. And when it gets right down to it, when you're in your mid-30s, not you, but when you're in your mid-30s, you've got a lot of miles on you. Are you really even fit to be a wife? Are you coming into it with optimism, hope, and good faith? And I'm going to tell you, there's not a lot of hope left when women start to get plus 40. I got to go watch the video that I did the other day.
Okay.
I mean, you listen to something. If you go back and look at some of your sorority sisters that are 60 or 70 plus years old, they're going to be talking a lot different than the 40-year-olds. I guarantee you, almost all of them going to be married. But where was that one video with that loud mouth? Ooh, that one was loud.
So
if women are realistic and they are open to dating and maybe not always focusing on the money and maybe to give up some things on their list.
Yeah.
Go look in the comment section. And my thing is this: if you really felt, or if you really felt that a woman was going to be with her husband for a lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want her to wait?
You're right. You're right. I look at the ones like, oh, we've been married 30, 40 years. I'm like, wow.
But you got to get started.
Right.
And if you don't want to be married, that's fine. What's your plan?
Are you asking me what's my plan?
Yeah, no, I'm curious. I'm starting asking women who don't want to be married. What's
I'm
your
not,
plan?
but see, I'm not saying I don't want to be married. I do, but if I don't end up getting married, I mean, I have a lot of nieces and nephews that.
What's your plan? What's your plan when you reach 55? And there's no more real dating. There's no more hot girl summer. And what happens at 55? The career, there's no more upside. It's downside from that point. You're starting to wind up life. You got another 25 to 30 years. What's the plan? What's that look like?
I know. I guess just me traveling.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I work for the corporate office of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I work in the corporate office in Dallas.
All right. Traveling where?
Just traveling anywhere I want to go.
No, I need to know. We talking about international travel? We talking about going to the Ozarks? I mean, that's a difference.
Yeah, international beaches. Just traveling. Business, family.
What's your job title? What's your job title?
Vehicle repair, senior coordinator.
All right. What kind of money are you going to need to live on if you live to be 80 years old? How much money are you going to need to retire on?
To retire on?
Uh-huh.
Probably around 400, 500,000.
400, 500,000. All right. If you start working at 65, $500,000 is 10 years of a $50,000 salary. You'd run out of money before you run out of life. So, due respect, man, you talking about traveling, you can't even live. This is what I mean. You ladies don't do math well in these situations. And I don't want to ask your current salary, but I know you're not making $400,000 a year.
No.
You're middle class.
Mm-hmm.
You're living paycheck to paycheck.
I'm not living paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to pay.
I'm just telling you, I'm not. I'm not trying to cut you off. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, how much are you making annually?
Annually? 74.
Okay. And you're in Texas?
Yes.
Okay. It's not paycheck to paycheck, but it's right about what I thought. Mm-hmm. You're making around $6,000 a month. $6,000, less than $7,000 a month. Man, wages have been flat. So that is enough to where you could have a mid-sized car for the rest of your life, mm-hmm. and a small home. Your income is not going to scale to $150,000. You've been with this company how long? 8 years?
8 years.
Do you get even a cost of living raise of 3%? 5%. That's fortunate, but that means you got a 2% raise because inflation is 3%. Mm. So you're making 2% more over a career. So if you just extrapolate that number out, a 5% raise over a career of another 25 years, if you stayed in the same place, mm-hmm. would put you right about 90. Mm. All right? Mm-hmm. That means you're going to have to live a life on a budget. That means you gotta, once you stop working, you'll only be getting a small amount of Social Security if it lasts. So most women have this notion that I'll just be single and I'll travel and all this. And what money? That's why most women are still working, because they don't have the money. You're not supposed to be by yourself. You're supposed to have somebody else so you can save together so you can have something.
I agree with that.
So when men do what you're talking about and there's no safety net, when it falls apart, they're homeless. They're outside. Most of you ladies seem to think that it'll go forever. Now, enterprise rent-a-car, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do realize what's been going on with female employment in this country. The she-cession, the recession we had, mm-hmm. we lost close to 6 million jobs.
Yeah.
With women. If you were to lose your job at Enterprise, mm-hmm. do you honestly think, what do you think the chances of going to get a job making $70,000 plus in this market? What do you think?
What are my chances, or just the chance?
Just the chances, period. Because if you've been working with the same company for 8 years, mm-hmm. Unless most people's experience tends to outpace the market. Mm-hmm. Have you had a skills assessment done?
Yes.
Not at your company, I mean external, to see what your skills are worth on the open market.
No.
I would say sit down with a recruiter or a headhunter and actually sit down and do an assessment of your skills. Because you need to know what your skills are worth on an open market, because you're single. Mm-hmm. So if Enterprise went bankrupt or downsized, you'd have to go find another job.
Mm-hmm. True.
So you're putting all that pressure on yourself as one person. There's no backup, there's no cushion. Versus if you had a man that you just turned your nose up 30 minutes ago, if you had a man making $40,000 and y'all combine, he can take care of himself, you can take care of yourself, you guys would have at least another $25,000, $30,000 to stock away. Mm-hmm. But see, a man ain't worth nothing to modern women if he can't pay all your bills. That's why I have no problem when I sit back and say die alone, because I don't think a man's worth nothing if he can't pay all your bills. That's why I stay where I stay over high value, because that's the men I deal with and so forth. And those men, they know the math. Mm-hmm. And they know that what you talk about, whatever, carry your ass on out there. I go find her. She's ready to get on my program. You see what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I think you have had some time to think about it. It's like, well, some of these numbers aren't adding up. It's like, I'm not going to be able to travel. I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is.
When was the last time you went out of the country?
Oof. Before COVID.
Where'd you go?
I went to Cancun.
Okay. Have you ever been out of the contiguous out of North America?
No.
All right. So another thing I find interesting, a lot of our sisters talk about traveling, and y'all ain't never been away from North America.
Well, I'm kind of scared to go.
But okay, so how you plan on going to London and Paris and Berlin and Tokyo?
You're right. You're right.
So this is why I have conversations like this to challenge women to grow up, because I'm gonna move it away from you. I asked a woman this question the other day. In your mid-30s, do you think that women of today are as mature as women of yesteryear?
No.
And that's the problem, because so many modern women still are thinking like adolescents.
Mm-hmm.
Interacting with them is like that. So it's like, well, if you understand what men are dealing with, men want a woman who's going to be able to cooperate. I'm going to be honest that only 15% of black men make $75,000 or more in this country. So if the value of a man is his paycheck, then I'm cool with that. But I hope you're cool with how that comes down this way, because that's what it is, though. I mean, it's like I would honestly be like, yeah, I'm like, what you talking about? As long as I don't bring home no babies, no diseases, ain't embarrassing you, and ain't
Me and my girls, we've talked about that. Like, we keep, some things we can work through. Like, don't have it on my face. Don't bring no babies. So I understand that to a certain extent.
I would say that you and your girls, everybody, unless you are making, look, you're gonna have to make a deal with somebody. And how many girls are we talking about? Because y'all all single.
Not all my friends single.
Are they all married?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Are any of them married?
Some of them.
Okay. So the girls you're talking about, they're single, unmarried.
Correct.
So if you're friends, how many of friends are we talking about? 3, 4, 2, 1, 6?
No. Yeah, that's 6, 7.
Okay. 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
If the kind of man you wanted walked in the room, they want him too. Are you willing to cut your friends off at the kneecaps and slice their Achilles tendons to get him?
Yeah, they going down.
You better be. I mean, you better be, because that's what it's going to take. Because only one of you can have him. And see, when you start thinking of a man in terms of, I think what's happened is the modern world has become so convenient for women. We don't have wars. We just had a pandemic and people are walking around like nothing really happened.
Right.
If something happens, you pick up a phone and you expect the entire SWAT team to show up. You're overly safe. There's an abundance of everything. Basically, what men have done for women over a lifetime, we have institutionalized it. So you don't physically have a man, but if something happened, your man is 911. If there's a fire, not the fire department, EMS, such and so forth. But when the pandemic hit, that was the first time black women had to really realize how alone they were, because they had to go to the grocery stores. And I didn't see a lot of non-black women in the grocery stores. I saw a lot of men with wedding rings on, but I saw a lot of scared black women like, oh shit, because they had nobody.
Yeah.
So it's time for sisters to really start understanding you are so separated from men, period. You don't even really know what men do or the value of a man outside of in the bedroom and in the bank. And I find it interesting when women say, oh, you're being so shallow when you ask about height, weight, dress size. I'm like, well, No, I think women are far more shallow. You look at a man in the bedroom and the bank account. Because I've heard more women just say, I couldn't date a plumber or a guy making less than $50,000. That's half the black men. I want you to imagine, you're in Texas, right?
Yes.
Are you close to Dallas?
I'm in Dallas, Texas, yeah.
You go to the Potter's house?
Oh, no.
Okay, what church you go to? What's the big church? I went to Friendship West Baptist.
Okay.
What's the biggest church you've ever gone to?
I only go to my church. It's a small church.
Okay. If you've ever gone to have you ever gone to a Cowboys game?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to imagine you're at a Cowboys stadium.
Okay.
And it's filled with nothing but black people. It's 100,000+ black men in Cowboy Stadium. And you walk out to the 50-yard line and you say, all right, ski-wee. I cannot deal with a black man who is earning the median income. So if you're making $40,500 or less, please leave the stadium. I think you would be amazed at what it would look like when all these men walked out. Because you'd have a visual representation of what you effectively just said like that. You cut off half the men off a number. Well, the remaining men, how many of those men are single?
Right. How
many of those men are straight? How many of those men are in your geography? I don't think it makes a lot of sense to just start cutting off men just because he doesn't have what you have, unless you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is all good conversation. But if a man ain't making what I'm making, I can't respect him. That's fine. I accept that. But you got to accept the fact that it's likely you box yourself into a corner, because the longer you wait, the more you make, the older you get, the higher your price goes. But your sexual marketplace value goes upside down. I think it's a good conversation. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Definitely. You've definitely. And
It's not easy. We didn't learn this stuff. We don't talk about this stuff, especially not in a way like this. Normally we yell at each other.
Oh, no.
We know it.
Huh? I didn't want you yelling at me, so.
No. Well, but see, I've been doing this since 1989. The University of Oklahoma used to have these. We were in the Black People's Union. We would sit around and have basically like relationship seminars where we would just talk. And I remember sitting in there, and one woman, I'm not going to say her name because she's probably watching, devastating DST, the attitudinal queen. You know who you are. And she's like, I want to do this, I want to do that. She wanted to be this high-powered corporate attorney, and her friend, God rest her soul, she was going to be this high-powered journalist, and she was out doing her thing. And I was like, all right, but you want to be married? Yeah, of course I do. But I'm not going to be no slave and this and that. I'm just sitting there listening to all the head rolling. And I'm like, Lord have mercy, the blue grease was just popping. I'm like, it's hot in the room. And I asked one question. I was like, okay, all you modern educated women, this is before Shahrazad Ali's book came out. So let me ask you one question. All you want to be married, all you want to have kids. But you want, okay, who's going to, okay, fine. Can you cook? I ain't gonna cook for no man. I ain't gonna serve one. I'm not gonna be no slaves under this. I'm like, all right. But then who's gonna cook for your children? You know what happened? It was cricket ass quiet.
I bet it was.
Because everything that my generation of women had learned about domestic household skills was taught in relation to a man. And if you did something like that, you were making yourself beneath him. And I'm like, well, my generation learned a lot of bad stuff. And that's your generation, your older cousin. Maybe not your mother, but still, Generation X had a lot of bad information. And what bothers me is so many of these women who are 40 plus will not turn around and tell younger women the truth. I actually asked that woman, I've had 3 women in the last 4 to 5 days. What would you tell young women? What would you tell young women? And they refuse because you're still their competition. You got to realize you're still their competition. You and your girlfriends, if Boaz walked into the room and that's your babies, that's your trips and travels, that's your, or you don't compete against Dana and let Dana out-compete you. You have to smile when she come around with him. Yeah, girl, how you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna go back with my dog. Oh, y'all expecting another one? I should have kneecapped that broad. But Becky got no problem jacking Meredith up. She will fuck Meredith up.
Yeah.
She will cut Meredith's knee. She will tear her to shreds. And Meredith will be like, "You got me." Meredith be trying to sneak in the side door, and Becky be like, "Yeah, you can have sex with him. I'm the beneficiary. I'm on the will. My name's on the property. So you go ahead and back it up and drop it like it's hot, whatever." I've got the money, bitch. And that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. And men, moreover than not, when they know they're dealing with a woman who is dealing realistically, that understands that, look, we all had hopes and dreams and things like that. What it comes down to is you, me, everybody. We're going to have to sit down with one person and make a deal and say, all right, this is it. I'll give you about 80% of what you want at best. What are your deal breakers? All right, well, okay. Your list matches my list. Let's go on down here. Love? Yeah, just respect me. Love will come later. I don't care about love. I don't give a shit about none of that. I do not care. Love comes later. If you had an arranged marriage in 1910, where would love come from? You would have been a virgin on your wedding night. You would have had, I don't care about love. I care about respect and duty. That's what you have as a marriage. You have respect, he has respect. You have a duty, he has a duty. Love will come later. The first time you have sex anyway, it's going to be kind of weird. I don't know your spots. I know the general area, but and like 34th time when I was like, oh, that's okay.
Right.
You know how to do the combination.
Right.
Fatality. I mean, and that's what kind of, because when it's all said and done, you know, you're going to be talking about somebody who gonna give you an insulin shot, or who gonna pick you up off the toilet when you can't get up.
Yeah.
Or like my stepfather passed. My mom was there when he took his last breath. And she had somebody to chronicle the last part of her life with. And her sisters didn't. They have taken their last breaths alone. We found them. So we have choices to make. Now, of course, somebody will always pass before somebody else, but that dash in between the year you were born and the year you die, that's supposed to be filled with life, not money, not girls' trips, not travels, not dogs. It's people. And I think one of the best things that we can do is, as a generation of 35 plus, we can start to figure out how to say, all right, I'll start to get together and start making working relationships to give younger Black folks a map of what's practically possible. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, is to stop this fantasy about, you know, love and romance and all that stuff. Marriage is a practical choice, but that does not mean love cannot come later. That does not mean you cannot love, respect. You know, I know how my mom talked about, you know, her husband. They would have their arguments back and forth, but there's love there. And so many of us are just walking without it. We're just walking, and we've learned how to be okay alone. I want to make it uncomfortable. I want women to start being uncomfortable being alone at 40. I want that shit to be uncomfortable so they can start realizing that, you know what? It ain't settling to be with a man who doesn't make 6 figures. A man brings more to my life than just the ability to go to Ruth Chris, a Pompano, or a trip. There are things that I can have with this man that maybe a man who's making $500,000 can't, because he's going to be doing something different. And you want to have value to a man that's more than just superficial or temporary.
Right, for sure.
Well, we have to start giving each other that grace and that mercy to be a little bit different. And that all starts with us understanding ain't none of us perfect. We're in this Black community. I think we all need therapy. We're all warped. But if you're willing to put duty and respect and good faith into something with the opposite sex, that's what it's always been between men and women. Always been. One man, one woman got an agreement that don't nobody need to understand. Appreciate it, sis. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye. Ski-wee.